Hi, I'm Mr. McCoy, Principal of Elmwood Junior Senior High. This week, I'm going to talk to you about the outdoors, and one of my favorite outdoor activities is fishing. Earlier this summer, I watched Mr. Massey give his talk about using sidewalk chalk, and one of his favorite hobbies over the summer is fishing also. So I'm going to take this a step farther, and we're going to talk a little bit about fishing. When I was younger, I did a lot of fishing in the Kickapoo Creek. Now I do a lot of bass fishing. So I'm going to talk about some of the different lures I like to use when I go bass fishing. Most of the things I use, you can use crankbaits, and I don't care for crankbaits because they've got a lot of hooks, and you'll see this one's got 3 sets of hooks, which is hard to get out of the fish and sometimes hard to get out of your clothes or your finger if you're not careful. I also use topwater. Here's an example of a frog that some of you might see as bait. But my favorite baits that I've been using recently on my trips to Wisconsin have been plastic baits. I'm going to show you a wacky worm. I'm going to show you a tube. I'm going to show you here is a big worm. And my favorite bait that I've been using 95% of the time the last couple of years is called the Ned rig. Some of my favorite baits to kind of show you here, this is a Texas rig. And with the Texas rig, you'll see it's got a bullet weight on it and a big hook for bass fishing. And you can hook a plastic on. And I like to use a big worm or a tube for most of my bass fishing. And all you do is you hook it up to the turn, pull it through, and then slide that plastic on, and then I bury the hook in here so it's kind of weedless. So that's one of my favorite bass lures to use. I probably used this a few years ago, but I've kind of moved to the wacky worm, which was one that I learned from my dad. And actually my son, when he was younger, used the wacky worm. So this is a nice easy one to get started with bass fishing. But all you have is you have a hook, and you've got a small type of worm like this, a Senko type worm, a straight worm, however you want to call it. All you do in a wacky worm is you hook it in the middle. And I like to hook it weedless, so I'll hook it through like that. And then you just let that kind of throw it out there and let it sink and raise it and let it sink. And catches a lot of fish. You don't have to work this very hard. This is a real easy one to use. Now, I said earlier, 95% of my fishing now I use the Ned rig, which when you see on a Ned rig, you've got just a little bullet type weight here with a little head, a mushroom head, and this tiny little piece of plastic. And I use, a lot of times I use Z-Man, and you'll see these things stretch, and they're supposed to be made to catch lots of fish without breaking or coming off. So all you do is you, once again, go up to the bend in the hook, curve it through, and push it on. Just keep it on like so. But those are my favorite bass lures, and I've used these the last few years. Minnesota, Illinois, Wisconsin, Canada, Michigan, the places I've been, and they catch lots of bass. It's a frog on a frog. Stop. Okay, you can pull it off. Ready? Don't let her get it. I challenge you guys to go out, go fishing, take your own pictures, take your own videos, maybe make a comment on the YouTube or Facebook page of the library about what you liked about this program, and get out there and try to enjoy the outdoors. And once again, enjoy yourself this summer, and Mr. Almasi and I will see you back in school real soon.